Well, good morning. Welcome to Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you with us. I'm starting a series of Asian dishes, some of my favorite. We're going to start with the easiest soup ever, egg drop soup. Here are the ingredients. You can pause and write them down. And hey, while you're paused, give us a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you hit the little bell at the top right of your screen, you'll get a notice when I post new videos, usually about twice a week. Now let's get cooking. So let's go over our ingredients. This is a really simple soup. I have here some cornstarch, 2 eggs, and I have some sesame oil. And you know, if you don't have sesame oil, you could use peanut oil, but it's really so much better with sesame oil. I have 1 tablespoonful of soy sauce and a quart of chicken broth, and I'm going to use a couple of these little green onions, and you can use some fresh chives instead if that's what you prefer. Now I make this in enameled cast iron instead of regular cast iron because I want to keep the color light, and I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of the sesame oil in the pan, and I have it on a medium heat. And I'll warn you now, I make this just a little bit differently than what you normally see, because I make something of a roux here with the sesame oil and the cornstarch. So I've got 2 tablespoons of sesame oil, and I'm adding 2 tablespoons full of cornstarch. And most folks make a slurry of the cornstarch and add it later. I like to do it this way for 2 reasons. One is because it soaks up the oil instead of having it float if you make it this way. And the other reason is that I like to have the cornstarch cooked just a little bit. It gives it a little bit deeper flavor, and you don't use much, and you don't cook it long, about a minute, minute and a half. And then we're going to add the broth, and I'm using a quart of just regular chicken broth. And I didn't use the low sodium, so I'm probably not going to add any more salt, but I will taste for the salt. So you add it kind of slowly until the roux is all dissolved, and then we'll pour the rest of it in. And we're going to just let this cook until it comes to a good simmer, because that's what's going to cook our eggs. We're just going to cook our eggs directly in this hot broth. And we want it hot enough, and that's a simmer, and not too hot. We don't want a rolling boil, because we want our eggs to go all the way through this like a ribbon, like a noodle. I'm going to add just this little bit of soy sauce, and you know, the soy sauce really is to taste. I don't add a lot of soy sauce because it changes the color, and you can always add some after it's cooked in your bowl, however you want to do it, but a tablespoonful of soy sauce gives it plenty of flavor. And while our soup's coming to a simmer, I'm going to beat these 2 eggs. And I really don't beat them till they're frothy. I just mix them up pretty well. And if you overbeat them, you don't really get the ribbons like I like to make. Now you see I have my soup at a simmer. I'm going to add the egg. And I have a spoon, and I'm stirring slowly, round and round and round. And I'm going to add the egg slowly. And you know, we all have our little ticks. I don't like my eggs to be scrambled in this soup. I want ribbons. I want it to look like noodles. And so I keep my heat on a medium, just at a simmer. Stir it constantly, slowly, round and round, until all the eggs are in. And you know, if you want to just beat them in, you can. But this is how I like them. I like the way it looks, and I like the way it feels in your mouth to have the eggs and ribbons. So that's it. Our soup is done. I'm going to let this heat up till it's back to its good simmer. And then I'm going to plate it up and show you what we've got. And I'll just take a second here to show you what I mean by having the eggs in ribbons like noodles instead of scrambled in with the soup. And you can see how that little bit of cornstarch firms it up just a tad. I'll give you a little close-up here. To me, this is just beautiful. I'm going to drop a few little green onions on the top, or your chives if that's what you prefer. And those are not just for garnish now, that's for the flavor. To me, this is just the most wonderful soup, and it's the easiest thing in the world to make. So I'm going to dig in, get a couple of bites of this wonderful stuff. You know, you don't have to be having Chinese food for dinner in order to make egg drop soup. It's good with anything. It's good with fried noodles. It's good with crackers. It's good with nothing. All you need is a spoon and a bowl. Hope you try this. Hope you like it. And hope to see you again tomorrow.